My female 32, uncle 71, and his wife 69 recently hosted a family barbecue at their home. This is normally a rotating thing, so everyone in the family takes turns hosting. My uncle is a difficult man to get along with, and I mostly went because it's important to my mom, 66. He's very rigid in his beliefs and will make it clear to you if you've done something to offend him. Once that has happened, there's no chance for redemption, regardless of whether you're family, friends, or strangers. While at the barbecue, everyone was standing around, and my daughter, young grammar school age, helped herself to a banana from the fruit bowl. Now, obviously, you shouldn't take anything that doesn't belong to you without asking, but she's very young, and manners are still being acquired. I'm not saying she was right in this. That being said, my uncle lost his mind. He called her a thieving brat and started threatening to call the cops. I stepped in, and he told me to pack my stuff and go because he didn't want thieves in his home. He told me that neither myself, my daughter, nor my husband, 33, would ever be welcome again because, clearly, this was a taught behavior. I was furious. I told my uncle that this intolerance was why he had no friends and why we only visited his home out of obligation. I told him that without my mom's family values, there wouldn't be anyone at the barbecue. In the middle of this, he pulled out his phone to call Mr. Police and asked how a little girl would survive in prison. My daughter was beside herself, so I gathered her and my husband, and we left. Apparently, after we left, my son was ranting and raving, and eventually, my cousin, female 24, not his child, told my uncle that he was lucky he didn't try that with someone else in the family because I was still polite in what I said. She told him that she refused to eat at the home of someone who thought it was okay to bully a child. As my cousin left, apparently quite a few people followed, and suddenly it was just my uncle and his wife left. His wife has been calling me, telling me that I humiliated him in his own home and that I can't expect his generation to be politically correct. She's also told me that he's been moping ever since because he feels like an outcast in the family and that I shouldn't have been so harsh. I am glad I stood up for my daughter, but I never intended for anyone to leave due to the banana. Now I wonder if I was too much. Was I the idiot for causing a mass exodus from my uncle's barbecue? Was your uncle high? Did he shout at a child for taking a banana? What? And then threaten to call the cops? No, you're not in the wrong. And I honestly think you need to cut him out of your life, along with your aunt. Not only did he threaten to call the cops, but if I'm reading it right, they actually pretended to do so. Accusing a young child of being a thief for having a banana at a relative's house is absurd. I'm sorry your daughter had this experience. That is not okay. Also, I don't see how being politically correct has anything to do with this. He blew up at your kid for nothing. The fact that all those people left proves that they all felt as you had, but didn't have the nerve to speak up before. And they all confirmed you were not too harsh. Your daughter ate a banana from a fruit bowl served out to guests at a family barbecue. Now, when I host a picnic, I do not expect my guests to ask permission to eat the food. As a matter of fact, I'd be mortified if they did. I have no idea what's wrong with your uncle, but he's gonna die a lonely old man unless he gets his head out of his rear end. You did not cause a mass exodus from the barbecue. Your inhospitable, hostile uncle did that all by himself. Kudos to you for remaining gracious and polite despite his vicious attack on your child. And shame on your aunt for trying to normalize his nastiness. Oh, how I wish he'd actually called the cops. I'm willing to bet OP would have been able to hear the cops howling through the other end. I'm trying to pin grand theft banana on a grammar schooler. I really hope the family refers to this event as the Great Banana Heist of the Year from here on out. I, nearly adult male, went to the doctor a week ago for my yearly checkup. I'm 178 centimeters, 5'10", and have been since I was about 15. That's remained unchanged. But last year, I was 61 kilograms, 135 pounds, and this year, I'm 77 kilograms, 170 pounds. This is because for the past year, I've been going to the gym almost every day, eating accordingly, higher volume of food, high protein content, etc., sleeping better, and thus have gained a lot of weight from muscle mass. While at my doctor's appointment, my doctor said that it wasn't good that I had gained 16 kilograms in a year, that it could be a warning sign of obesity I should watch out for, and that I should cut back on junk food. I pointed out that I didn't gain 16 kilograms of fat, but rather 16 kilograms of muscle. So while technically I might be overweight or approaching it, I asked if the health risks still apply, because I thought extra muscle isn't inherently bad, like excess fat. Instead of answering my question, he just rolled his eyes and said he didn't need to hear me brag about having muscles, and reiterated that I should cut down on the sweets. I don't even eat sweets, and I don't think it's fair to roll his eyes when I was just clarifying and asking a question. My mom agreed with my doctor and said that my doctor's appointment wasn't the time to bring up my muscles. I think that my weight is part of my health, and the relative ratio of muscles I have is part of my weight. I wasn't even the one who brought up weight. Am I the idiot? Edit. I was wearing baggy clothes, and I did gain a little bit of fat because that comes with bulking, but I still have visible abs even after. So that's why I think it's ridiculous to say I gained 16 kilograms of fat and should lay off the sweets. To be fair, if he wanted proof, I would have been willing to take off my shirt and show him, but that just would have been seen as more bragging. Not the idiot. It's commonly known that BMI can be inaccurate for those with large muscle mass. The doctor just wasn't listening to what you were saying at all. He just looked at the numbers and didn't care. And you're not even technically overweight. I'm not a doctor, but I served in the Army, and your age and weight are still below the maximum weight limit before a BMI test. The doctor probably often hears that excuse, so he thinks you're BSing. However, that's no excuse for that kind of insulting and dismissive behavior. What kind of moron is your doctor? Are you sure he has a medical degree? Putting on muscle mass and putting on fat are not the same thing at all. And at your age, putting on some extra muscle is pretty normal. Partly you've been working out and deliberately trying to build muscle, and partly you're still going through puberty. You are the idiot because you're full of it, OP. You aren't giving us the full story. Your doctor can obviously see if you were a lean, shredded 170 pounds. Your doctor isn't a moron, and no doctor uses BMI in the way you're suggesting. It's one fairly weak metric that can be calculated with basic info everybody has without visiting a doctor. Source: I'm married to a doctor who rolled her eyes at this obvious fantasy story. We're both 24 and have been together for 3 months. Lately, we've started to spend more time in my apartment as it's closer to both of our workplaces, and my boyfriend has been on my case about buying things for my place since the beginning. First, he said, we should buy a rug for the bedroom because he doesn't like wearing slippers and the floor is cold in the mornings. I told him he was welcome to bring a rug for his side. He didn't. Then he got annoyed that I don't have a hairdryer and he always needs to bring his own. I have very short hair, so I never needed one, and I told him I'm not going to buy one that I'm not going to use. Then he started hinting that I should get a humidifier because the dry air hurts his throat. I didn't even acknowledge that one. The last one was the coffee maker I didn't have because I don't drink coffee. He drinks a lot, so I relented on that one, but I bought a pretty cheap one, which is not good enough. And he said he might as well pour boiling water over a filter with a kettle. He has a crazy expensive machine at his place. He says it should be basic decency to want to make your guests feel more at home, especially your partner. While I agree to some extent, I really can't afford to buy stuff I'm never going to use, especially since we're still very much at the beginning of our relationship and we don't technically live together. Now I'm the idiot because I clearly don't take our relationship seriously enough if I'm not willing to invest in it financially. Am I the idiot here? Not the idiot. He's nesting, but at your expense? Sounds like you've given him the opportunity to bring his own things, and he hasn't. So why is he even staying at your place if nothing is good enough? Let's say you buy him a carpet, an expensive coffee maker, a salon hairdryer, and a humidifier. What's next? Next up, he takes those things home with him because he likes them better, or he loves that OP bought them for him and he should be able to take his belongings wherever he wants. OP, honestly, I think I'd be thinking of cutting this guy loose. Demanding someone you've known for 3 months purchase items for their home for your use? Nope. I didn't get past the have been together for 3 months. Heck no. That's your place, baby girl. Do not share spaces and items in the home unless both names are on the lease. Before you know it, he'll be trying to move in and claim space rent-free. Also, there's absolutely nothing wrong with pouring boiling water over a filter for coffee. It's how my house has always made it. Does he actually have an apartment? I doubt the other place was even his. It wouldn't be crazy if he bounced around, demanding potential roommates by his wish list for his comfort. He's waving a big bright red flag, OP. Pay close attention. My friend, 19, and I, 20, had planned a month-long trip to Vietnam and Thailand. We had just finished our Thailand part of the trip and were packing to leave for Vietnam. Our flight was in a couple of hours. While packing, she realized she had lost her passport. For context, she's been fairly careless this trip, with her bank card being blocked because she didn't tell her bank she was leaving the country, and losing her phone by leaving it around our hostel. When she learned she had lost her passport, she immediately called her brother and avoided and ignored my questions because she was stressed. I asked her if we should look up how to get an emergency passport, and she said no, she was too stressed, and her brother would find out what to do. The whole time she avoided me by walking into different rooms and giving one-word replies. So I decided I would be no help by staying at the hotel, and our flight was in an hour, so I would just go to Vietnam. I had already booked and paid for my whole trip in advance, and I didn't want to lose the money. I also felt like I was getting in the way and was confused about what was happening. At the time, she was fine with my decision to leave, hugging me goodbye and telling me she'd miss me. However, when I landed, I got a text from our mutual friend that she was really mad at me and was telling everyone I abandoned her in a different country. When I asked her about this, she said that now that she had some time to think about this, she thinks I'm an idiot for leaving, and if the situation was reversed, she would have stayed. She said I should have offered to stay, and she shouldn't have had to ask. Our friends said they understand both sides, but my family says I'm in the right, as I shouldn't waste my trip and money. Edit. If this was her first emergency, I would have shown more empathy. It had become more of a pattern than anything. I was there and figured out how to get her phone and a new SIM card, and I lent her a lot of money when her card got blocked, until her brother could send her money. Paid for things in advance for her because she had to wait for her brother to transfer. Booked flights for her because she accidentally booked the wrong one, which cost us money. And the key to my argument was that she wasn't communicating with me. She was freely talking to her brother and laughing. She says she does this when stressed. While we're good friends, her emergencies can't always be an emergency for me. We're British, and the closest embassy to us would have been Bangkok, 15 hours away from where we were. She planned on traveling there and then chilling on the islands. Also, for everyone worrying over my friend, she's currently out clubbing, so I think she'll be fine in a foreign country alone. Everyone's the idiot here. It is absolutely on your friend to keep track of their possessions. Her losing her passport and not communicating with you about the follow-up steps absolutely makes her an idiot. On the other hand, you and your friends were on vacation together in a foreign country that's presumably far away. This means you both don't really know the environment and should be able to depend on each other if something goes wrong or someone's in danger. So as much as I think she was being an idiot for how she behaved, I personally don't believe that makes it okay to leave her behind. It would be a reason for me to make it the one and only trip I ever do with this person. I disagree. The toddler friend stopped communicating with OP, and instead of finding out what she had to do, she called her brother in another country. She's too irresponsible to travel without a nanny, and OP is not her nanny. OP, you're not the idiot. She literally avoided you and every question. You had a solution. She ignored you and kept on panicking. You already paid for this trip. It's not like the airline will care your friend lost her passport. She wasn't a friend to you. A friend wouldn't cause constant setbacks on a trip. She wants a babysitter. Also, would she have given you the money? Then she would have the money to travel the 15 hours to an embassy. She'll have to go there anyway to get an emergency passport. Update. We both talked on the phone, now that we've cooled down a bit. We both admitted we were wrong. She was irresponsible with her belongings, and I left her alone. We've been friends for a long time, but this is the first time we've traveled together. So both understand there would be some issues, but not to let this incident ruin our friendship. We also have tickets to see Taylor Swift next summer. We're stuck together, LOL. Thank you for the advice. It helped me let go of my pride and see things from her side too. I, female 30s, have a friend, Ashley, female 30s. Ashley and I have been friends since we were 13. We drifted apart after high school, but stayed in touch. Ashley's disabled. She has fibromyalgia. We plan to go on a short vacation together to the city, which was Ashley's idea. We planned this over a year in advance to stay for 3 nights. The actual vacation was okay, but I found being around Ashley stressful. She was extremely overpacked. She brought 7 outfits, different types of hair dryers, and a bunch of other stuff that just wasn't needed, and always complained about how heavy her bags were. She insisted on going for long walks through the city, but then would get tired and say we needed to get a taxi home as she couldn't walk back. The last straw for me was that Ashley had a full-on meltdown at the station. I walked her to the station. I wasn't getting the train back. We live in completely different areas. We got to the desk, and she asked the staff if there was a wheelchair available that she could use as she was struggling to walk any further to get to her platform. They said they were all being used and asked if she booked assistance, and she hadn't, and they told her a chair should be available in around an hour. Ashley lost her cool and yelled at them and said she would miss her train, and she sat on the floor. I tried to calm her down, but there was just no use. She was very insulting and called them names. It was so embarrassing. I stayed with Ashley, and eventually, the manager arrived with the chair. He helped Ashley and she went home. 2 days after we got home, Ashley asked me if I'd be down for a similar vacation next year. I told her no thanks. I tried to explain to her that I think, after our experience, it's better if we don't vacation together. Ashley's now angry with me and said that I'm being ableist, but I struggle to put up with how disorganized she is regarding her own needs. Not the idiot. Her behavior has nothing to do with a disability, so that shouldn't even be mentioned, except where she tried to make it an excuse. Gross. If you don't travel well together, then you don't. Not the idiot, but as someone with a chronic illness and chronic pain, I would hope my friend would talk to me about the specific issues before telling me they won't go on vacation with me. I know it wasn't easy because she asked, but there are ways to get around a direct answer. For now, please send her a letter or email that lets her know how much you value her friendship and that what you said is not because of her disability. No, this is absolutely ridiculous. I have what can technically be classed as a physical disability, and no matter the pain, exhaustion, fear, or whatever's going on that day, I've never used it as an excuse, like her trash friend did. Nasty. It's not because you're disabled. You're disorganized. Those are different things. You aren't being an ableist. You're choosing not to vacation with someone who was not properly prepared for the trip and who caused a scene after not making the necessary reservations. It has nothing to do with their illness. I wouldn't go again either.